Can we have another chair, please? More? Come closer, Cheryl. Okay, not to, we still need to see you. They must see how gorgeous you are. You can.
Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So this is our time. Solution finding. We're going to cut it short a bit. This is our discussion, wrapping up on what we've heard today, what we've experienced in the workshop session. This is your opportunity to ask questions and to get answers, and together where we can work out what solutions are. Mary Ann, if you can just take a few notes as discussed. Yeah. So we can give this a quick 10 to 15 minutes at maximum. All right, we just need to get the ball rolling. We're all tired. Okay, thank you. Over to the panel. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Audience, the floor is yours. Any questions? Disciples, Carla's question?
Can I sanitize?
Thank you so much. I just want to say a big thank you everybody here, and we're just honored to be a part of it as an entertainment business. And the question that was posed by the lovely lady in Miami is, I had the honor of putting an event together called ACT. It's called ACT Out, and this is something that we're looking at building on going forward, because we believe it's a strong vehicle. Hillary agrees with me in terms of it being a strong marketing arm for the message that she's trying to get across. And why we believe it is because we're passionate about arts and music and dance and everything creative. So our thing was like, we have to do this again, regardless of whether we're getting financial support or not. The best of what we can do is do creative projects, but we believe in the message that ACT Africa is getting out. So how do we get it out there? People look at me like I'm cool sometimes. So I'm like, can I be cool with ACT Africa and carry on this message across and make it a part of what being cool is to me? And if I've got 5 disciples that also believe in what our musical dream is, and this is the message, and we want to push positive music out there, creative projects, and push ourselves creatively to the max in terms of what creative projects are, knowing that we want to attach ourselves to an important message like this. We have the honor of having a member that has come off 11 years of a bad of Nyape, like for 11 years he shouldn't be alive. But this is how God works. He's still here with us. You're going to see him perform just now. He's full of energy and full of life. And my aim is to see more young people come turn around like that. And we live it, so it's not about anything for show for me. All I can do is just make music and creative projects. That's all what I'm about. But being connected to an organization like ACT Africa makes me realize that it's more than music. It's more than creative projects. It's about what our communities are. It's about the Africa that we want to see. And if we can live it, we can obviously be an example to the next people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Yeah, let's sanitize, protocol. So I spoke about choices earlier. It's our choice, whether or not, or what we're going to do next. So we have, in terms of trafficking, I'm sure we have some interesting questions there, especially for the hawks. The drug side of things is very close. We've got the lady on the floor over there. Question?
As South Africa, we are storytellers as Africans. demonstrate how everything actually takes place and be able to encourage young people because they love the arts and it's how they communicate. Carla spoke about TikTok, about YouTube, and this is exactly what is happening. And I really want to support that because in terms of substance use disorder, we do have initiatives right now that actually we've got artists who are performing and be able to know and teach young people that we do not actually have to drink, actually. That what we need to actually do is be able to go to school and be able to be somebody, take charge of your future. And we need to be able to bring education in forms of practicality. And that's why we are here today. And one of my questions to the panelists is that if somebody right now wants to walk in here and say, I am being trafficked, what do we do? Can we break and understand that to a layman's terms and not use any form of legal jargon or any form of language that we will not be able to understand? Yes, we do know there's sex, we know there's homes, we know there's social development, but where do one begin? If somebody wants to care, how do we help them? Where do we need to begin? That's my question.
Okay, Colonel Jaguar, would you like to answer that question? Over.
I think for us to develop a simple method is to look at my guidelines on the presentation, what we said. And the first thing is to ensure the safety of the victim. Let's remove the victim from the area of trauma. Let's get him to have a medical, and then from there we can assess them to be placed in a place of safety. And from the place of safety, then law enforcement can come about and determine whether the person wants to cooperate and what is going to be the future sort of action that we're going to take. Are we going to repatriate, reintegrate, or are we simply going to keep her and manage her as him or her as a witness? I think that's about the simplest method we can use.
Okay, over there. Spark, if you don't mind. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. This conference has been very enlightening and extremely interesting. But what I've heard is how everybody reaches out to an individual. So you reach out to a man, a woman, a boy, a child. These people come from homes. They come from broken homes, broken surroundings. They are broken because where they come from is broken. They were born into brokenness, but nobody's addressing that brokenness. And that is what I find is sad. I myself am a victim of abuse, and I come from a beautiful family who have stood by me. And if it wasn't for the assistance of my family, I would not be the person I am today or where I am today. And so while we reach out to individuals who are broken, both the perpetrator and the victim, that perpetrator's victim, are broken. They're both broken. So somewhere, somebody has to reach out to the brokenness within families, because that is where it stems from, that is where it starts. It started in a family. It started because a mother and a father were not relating to each other properly, and then it filtered down to the children who saw what was happening. There's a phrase I once learned from a person who mentored me, is that we don't have broken children, we have broken adults.
Yeah.
So we need to start fixing our adults. We need to start looking at ourselves as adults, see what we are doing within our homes, in our attitudes towards each other and our children, our siblings, in the places we go into. And I think that is where the brokenness starts being healed, is when we start looking at ourselves and start
Thank you very much, Heather. Very, very important and excellently put. So we have expert panelists here. We've got Craig from FAM, we've got Tsepo Mokoena from MADA, who addresses those kind of issues within families, and obviously he's a dad coach. Tsepo coaches young men, and obviously in the coaching and in dealing with their fatherhood situation, they deal with families. Again, as part and parcel where Comeback Vision does their counseling with the case of recovery, the families have to, you cannot isolate, the families automatically have to be incorporated. Yes, we get families who do decide they don't want to have anything to do, but then you deal with it. Over to Craig, Tsepo, who would go first? Can I, oops, there's no sanitizer. Sanitizer, please. Sorry, Marcel, I'm seeing you there.
That's a great comment that you make there. I think there's a saying that says, it's much easier to raise a whole child than to kill a broken adult. And the cycle perpetuates, that's the problem. South Africa has a very broken history. Migrant labor, families being torn apart. And there's very little being done in this country, sadly, to heal parenting. And we need to. We encourage, we almost reward single parenthood. We keep fathers out of the lives of their children often through courts. A lot of dads and parental alienation. Boys and girls need both moms and dads. It always strikes me as bizarre that we need a license to drive a car, but we don't need a license to become a parent. And I think we need to get people, not to go to that extent, we write a test to become a parent. But a lot of people have kids and they're not prepared. They're not, we've seen in some provinces in South Africa where kids are virtually trafficked. And I'll tell you how they're trafficked. It's not falling under the trafficking thing, but people have kids to get the social grant. They hand kids over to someone else to get the foster care grant. It's utterly, utterly despicable. And our government needs to get involved in public service announcements, in policies and procedures and structures to say, let's not have children where we're not ready. And let's encourage fathers, inspire them, reward them, let's encourage moms, let's heal and fix and restore parents. Because until we do, this cycle is just going to continue. A broken man, a wounded man creates wounded children, who then in turn create wounded children, and the cycle continues. So you're 100% right, we're not fixing the problem. We need to address this very urgently.
Okay, great. We've got social development also. Over to Tsepo Mokoena. And then I think social development can also address that question. Paul, do you mind?
Thank you. I think the issue of broken families, they don't just come from poor families, because poor and even rich families, then you still find broken children and broken families, because maybe we misuse the word broken. It's not the same as broke, but it's I think we are only focusing on the perpetrator. But we need to bring the perpetrator and the victim. We need to bring men and women together and find out what is the problem. We need to bring boys and girls and make sure that these boys respect these young girls. I don't also want to talk about issues of sugar daddies and so forth. Those things, they are serious issues that we don't want to talk about. We are only dealing with the surface. Gender-based violence is deep. If your daughter comes home with a new dress, a branded one, we don't discuss it. Once you start discussing, they say, Uncle Sefo, you are judging us as women. I'm not judging anyone. Yes, you can be broke, but you don't need to be broken. You can be proud with the fact that you don't have money. When I bring KFC at home, my daughter will phone the sugar daddy who will bring numbers. And it's a no. We are breaking each other. We need to work side by side.
Thank you so much. Downstairs. Paul from Social Development.
Yes, good afternoon, colleagues. I think for me, the issue of the moral decay is of importance to say that as a country, our moral values have degraded so very much that we have normalized what is not normal or what was not normal. I remember when I was growing up, we had mothers, fathers within the communities who were there to guide us, and should you then do wrong, they would reprimand you, much as they are not your biological mother or father. And nowadays is the issue to say that, who the hell are you? It used to be the village that used to raise a child. But we no longer have that village in the country currently because of the rights that we have, because of whatever issues that I'm not your child, therefore you cannot tell me what to do. So back off. Even you might want to then go to the extent of involving the parents. The parents will tell you to say that this is my child, get off. So the issue of moral decay for me is of prominent importance to say that let us go back to our basics, the roots, to say who we are in terms of the caliber of the future generation that we want to live. Because currently, the panel, all of you are older generation in the new term. And during your tenure, you had somebody to take you by the hand, to show you, to guide you. One of the speakers gave an example in terms of how to fish, and ultimately that child died because there was nobody to take that child through. But what I'm saying is that through the warm wolf or the positive wolf, multiply yourselves within the communities. I mean, we have different programs that are there as government in terms of the basket of services that we are providing, but we are not in each and every household that is there within the community. So the ABC in the morning gave us a challenge to say that when we deliberate, we need to come up with intervention and programs that will then be the flagship for social development. For me, now, so far, I've taken the LGBTIQ+, because that is a space as well that we are also confronted with challenge. The speaker was saying that do not judge, because you are raising a child and you don't know how the child will turn out. So we need to start them while they are still young. We need to correct them. We need to instill positive values. And we do have such programs programs within the department in terms of how we do parenting, positive parenting, and we have normalized to say that it's okay to be a single parent, and most of the households are being led by women. They are confronted with challenges. They want to be a career woman, they come back, they want to be a positive mother, they are having issues with the biological father of this child. So they are conflicted within themselves. So it goes back to us collectively, and I'm not talking to us collectively who are here in terms of you are the problem. No, by the virtue of you being here, you are part of the solution. But in the respective communities that you are coming from, that's where you need to now plant this seed that we are collectively talking about, to say that how do we now, I mean, South Africa, we have beautiful policies. That goes without saying. We have beautiful policies, but it is the implementation of those policies that we currently have that is a challenge. To say the manifestation of those policies in terms of converting them, talking about gender-based violence as an example, it happens in a safe space where government is not there, where you and I are not there. But what is the community doing to say that when I have to now be confronted with that kind of situation, I'm saying to my friend, don't get involved, it's not your issue. You are jealous because you don't have this kind of a partner. So it now talks to the issue of socialization from a very young age, to say that how do we now socialize our very young boys and girls to say that they need to now to learn, to affirm, to say that this does not fit well with the values that I was taught. I was taught to love myself. I was taught to say, this does not go well. I'm now being infringed. So let me go back, let's pause and now ensure to say that I know who I am, because I would need validation from the very next boyfriend or a man who would now present a loaf of bread for my survival. So issues of gender-based violence, issues of families, they are very deep, they are very, complex. But we have to start somewhere, collectively so. So I'm saying that we do have programs as a Department of Social Development. However, we also need you. And for your information, currently, as a Department of Social Development, we have an opening in terms of receiving business proposals for the next cycle for funding. So if you are an NPO, you are here, you have up until the 1st of October, in fact, to then submit your proposal so that we are able to now assess where you are implementing the programs that we have, so that we are able to support you in terms of the implementation. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Paul. Much appreciated. Judge. Oh, sorry, sir. I missed you. Apologies.
Good afternoon. I just want to congratulate all the NGOs for the amazing work that they do. My expertise is in the fire industry. So in 2010, we ran a program, the World Cup, so I was based on the team, with the task team for 2010. And one of the brilliant programs that worked was called the Safety Ambassadors. So we'll take the youth and give them a stipend and place them at the entry points into Johannesburg. So my suggestion for me would be to the government or provincial is to maybe look at appointing, there's a lot of unemployed youth out there that's going into all the drugs and they don't have a solution. So one of the suggestions is that maybe we should look at appointing safety ambassadors for gender-based violence, getting the youth involved, getting them out into the communities and getting them to go and find, because I think for myself one of the biggest problems that we identified was how do people report fires. And then we went out and did educational programs. And I think in that, I've raised the issue now in terms of that I've only discovered these NGOs now. I've never known about them. So a lot of us are there that doesn't know about the good work that the guys are doing. So maybe they should look at that. Look at safety ambassadors for gender-based violence, get them a year program and place them in the high-risk areas and let them go out there and then people see. And when they see in work there's safety ambassadors, they'll identify how to call. And then the next part of my suggestion is maybe look at apps. The youth likes to do social media. Develop an app that is promoted freely, that is maybe based in a region, so that people can reach out to SAPs, reach out to the justice, reach out to NGOs. You know, it's today apps is, I mean, it's like a normal thing. You can develop it for next to nothing. So for me, it's how do I report it? The simplest way to get help for somebody, and get safety ambassadors out there and let them pay them a stipend. I mean, it's a known fact that these interventions work. Thank you very much.
So we're looking at that as a solution. Safety ambassadors, Mary Ann, there's one that's already come out of there, right? And I do believe people should be paid salaries and not stipends. Noted. We have another caller, Tanika. Sorry, sir. Then I'll address you, if you don't mind. I just want the lady to speak. Can you put the mic closer to your mouth, my angel?
Implementation and what's going to be done and what can be done. But you know what? When you're on the street, it's not what happens. The guy we're talking about is as a girl walking out the garden path and having a guy check for you. I can't walk without knowing that somebody's going to be looking at me, somebody's going to be touching me in some way. When I go to the police station and I report you, the police look at you as if you're crazy. They look at you as if you have done something wrong. It's not you. It's all the people around you that make you feel like you are the one. And this guy that has done something to you gets nothing. You guys can't sit here and talk about what must be done. You need to do it. There are girls out there sitting at the Maslow hotel. There are girls out there on the streets. They're scared. Why? Because you put up in your Mercedes Benz and you say to them, oh, I'm going to help you. No, you can't help me. It's like it's a joke. You go to the police station and the police officer asks you for your number. I don't want that. Why do I have to sit there and contend for that? And I'm being real right now. I'm a young woman. Yes, I don't have an experience that everybody in this room has. But I know what it is to hurt. And I know what it is for my friends to hurt. And for us to cry and sit alone and be like, oh, we're sharing this with each other. But friend, I can't tell this person. But friend, you can't even go to your parents. You can't even go home and tell your older people because it's like, oh, it's a shame. Oh, we have to keep this under wraps. At this point, I'm shaking. At this point, I'm shaking, and it's grown people I'm talking to. We can talk a safe family, we can talk implementation through our ears, but if it's not happening, we just have that cry. It's like when you're communicating to somebody and they're not understanding you, it's a silent war. It's dead. It's all right.
Thank you, Tanika. We have another question. Thank you so much, Tamiko. We have another question over here. We'll come back to you, Stephanie.
Thank you, ma'am. My name is Mohammed. I work for the City of Johannesburg Emergency Services. My normal day starts with 3 rapes. My normal day starts with, I echo the same sentiments of the lady that spoke over there because that is the area that I cover. And today I want to applaud someone that doesn't sit in a conference room, that goes out and go and do the actual thing outside that face this demon. Mr. Cheryl Pillay over there is my leader, and this is what we do. I work for the city of Johannesburg, but I'm more with the community, involved with the community in El Dorado Park, because I'm based there. And I know exactly what that lady is talking about, because when you're at your lowest, we are called in to deal with you. It is a waste of time sitting in a conference room, having the best policies, having the best of everything in South Africa, but we find what that lady is talking about. My day starts with 6 rapes and it ends with teenage suicides, 3 people for the day. This is the norm for us. And this is the generation gap between the old and the new. And look in the room. Do we see any youngsters here? We are failing those youngsters because we're not going out there. And my suggestion is we need to go out there and face this demon hands-on, not sitting in conference rooms and creating policies and creating things that we don't use, filling up tick boxes. I was there, my scorecard is filled up and that's completed. That is not what this is all about. This is about a lady crying like that for help. And where I come from, there are millions of them.
Yes.
We deal with cases where the father has to sell his daughter for a fix. We're dealing with cases where people go to bed, haven't been eaten for weeks. We go to cases where a 3-year-old child is roaming the streets, the mother's out, prostituting, making money. That is the reality out there, and that is what we are missing. It is senseless we sit here and we don't apply or implement. This thing needs to be hands-on, and we need to deal with this because we are failing our youth. Gone are the days that the old people are wisdom. We can use technology because that is a new generation. Let us guide them with wisdom, and technology is the way to go. I thank you.
Thank you so much. I come from that community, so I know. And this is a perfect opportunity for organizations sitting here in this room who have the means, who have the tools to reach out to young ladies like Tamiko. And that is what this conference is all about, the tangibility aspect, and not just being a talk shop. So thank you, Mohammed. The lady in the corner there. Sorry, she was first, yeah. Stephanie?
Okay, my name is Stephanie Leon. Going back to what Tamiko said, what she mentioned about the police, and when you actually go to the police station to report certain incidences. My question is, what is being done to actually train the police on how to deal with victims? Because I also feel that police don't know how to deal with someone who comes to them and tells them, I've been violated. Not even that, just a general case of being robbed. You go to the police station and they show no empathy towards you. You'll be giving your statement and then turn around and shout across the police station to someone else. So I'm not sure who can answer my question, but what do you guys think? And are there any plans on actually training police on how to take these cases, how to take proper statements, and how to show empathy towards victims? Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie, for your question. Before I get to you, lady, I think there are a few people that can answer this question. Number one, John, do you mind if I just mention quickly, and if you quickly, John is a part of a team of people where a training session like that is going to be taking place in the next few months. So he's engaging with SAPs, and that is one of the problems that has been picked up, and thank you very much for raising that. Very pertinent, very important, and that will unfold, and obviously we will, John will do the necessary marketing, etc., and we'll let you know further. But there is, within the next few months, there will be a seminar, for a special training seminar for police on the issues just mentioned. The other person, Cheryl Pillay, she's at the El Dorado Park Police Station, Community Police Forum. Cheryl, over to you.
I think steadily there is enough of those kind of trainings because according to Sept's national instruction, there's an instruction on how to deal with those cases. But we have a problem with will to serve in the communities, in governmental organizations. I think Paul and the judge actually said there's beautiful laws, but the people that needs to implement the law lacks the will to serve and implement. And it takes activists on the ground, local community people to hold the departments accountable. And so it actually creates double work for us. But it is important that activists are raised in communities and young activists that capacitate themselves with the various acts, with the Sept's national instruction, so that when the lady goes to the police station and say there's a child that needs to be removed, sorry, and the police officer says, I don't know what a Form 36 is, that is a problem. So if you as the community capacitate yourself, I walk in there and I say, I have put Form 36s in that cupboard for you. The new rookies on the ground don't know how to fill in a Form 36. It is important that the departments continue ongoing training. The problem we have, people are trained today and they moved somewhere else. Then there's a new person at the desk in the front there. So it's an ongoing thing. And it's about, I think, the will to serve. The lack of that is one of the things. But reporting, don't stop. I don't care who you are, whether you're the judge or the police station commander. I put you on my community intervention group, and all the questions that come through, I will put it there and you will respond.
Before I get to you, can the lady in the corner? Hold on, the lady over there is just waiting, then I'll come here, and then... Yeah, 100%.
Thank you so much. And what an awesome opportunity it is to be at this conference. So thank you so much, Hilary.
Thank you, it's a pleasure.
I want to just mention a few things and then have a key question. And the question is, what is the role of religion and religious organizations in this whole fight to end GBV, or violence of any type for that matter? And why I'm asking that, when that young lady spoke, and well done to her, the courage that she showed, yes, absolutely. We need that. And you know what? We are not listening to the voices. They're not voiceless. It's because we're not listening. So that's why I'm saying, where are the churches and the mosques and the temples? Why? Because often sacred texts are used to perpetuate violence.
Yes.
That men and women are equal. They're not side by side. They are unequal. They're not side by side. That there needs to be submission from the woman, that they can't speak, that they must be silent. And so where is that religious organizations that, and people that are going to say, that's not right. That's not the way it's supposed to be. That's not what we are about. And I'd love to hear that, to have the religious leaders. Often they themselves are the perpetrators. And we hide that in our communities of faith. We absolutely just sweep it under the carpet. There's so many things that they've done to hurt our young people. When she spoke about going to the police, it's also the church. More than just being creating a safe space, you have to be a safe person. You have to embody safeness. And the churches and many of our religious institutions are not doing it. So what is the role that they need to be playing, and where are they in ending GBV?
Thank you so much. Pertinently so, because the church cannot be excluded from this, neither can they separate themselves from this and say religion, this, there is no divide. They are an integral part of this and actually the core in helping to remedy and adjust the situation. Next, we've got a lady over here who would like to ask a question. Sorry, just hold on. Whose hand was up first? Was it Pearl? May I ask if Pearl can answer? She would like to respond, and then we'll come back to you too. Thank you.
In Gauteng, we have 154 police stations. I don't work for SAPS and with social development, but as social development, we have what we call the victim-friendly rooms in the police station to say that when you are a victim, you go inside the police station and you do not tell the frontline officer in terms of whatever issue that we are came here for, but you will now request to be redirected to a victim-friendly room, and that's where you will now get either a social worker or an auxiliary worker, and that they will create a safe space for you to now indicate whatever issues that you came there for, and they would assist you in terms of opening up the case and linking you with the police. So that is the intervention from social development. We are working closely with the NPOs that are in the ground as well as with the police. Thank you.
Can I just on
before?
that note again, Paul and you from the department, I am not fighting departments, but you know when the MECs or the national girls on TV and they say every police station has a friendly victim empowerment center, that is on book, but it's not in action on the ground to the people. And I think that's exactly what those girls are speaking about.
100%.
So we need to become real to the ground, to the grassroots, and do that, not just do a tick box. Someone spoke about tick box. I'm speaking about actual, where a person went, not last night, the night before, with a child that is at risk to the police station. The victim empowerment center is closed. The officer that is standing at the counter says, go back and come back tomorrow. The next morning, the lady goes there, and the officer that sees her says, go and look for the mother. We're speaking about the 3-year-old. So we need to have tangible things on grassroots levels. And on book form, again, everything is perfect when it comes to theory, but the practical makes a problem.
Thank you very much. I echo that. Very recently we discovered that with a victim, and when we got there, that empowerment center was, victim empowerment center was locked. No social worker, nothing, no one present. NPO was left to deal with whatever and reach out, whereas something that should have been there automatically for the victim, it wasn't present. It was looking all pretty, but there was no one. So, quite rightly so. I'm going to allow for the last questions that are there. Yeah? And just a few more questions, and then we're going to cut off. If the people can just raise their hands, the last few. 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to cut off after that. I think the judge, it's a very pertinent thing in terms of when you sit on that side with your family court and when you're judging and with the perpetrators and that kind of thing. We'll come back to you, especially with what we're speaking here. How does it from the judicial system, especially in terms of the healing structure, in terms of everything that has been spoken here, especially what the Nico has said with the family when we're judging, how do we at that point try to remedy a situation like that when it comes to the judicial system in handing out that sentence to perpetrators in those broken situations? How do we handle that in order to heal? Because we're breaking further. Yes, we've got to hand out those sentences as harsh as they are, but what happens after that in our prisons? We often find those rehabilitations aren't taking place. So it remains broken. So Those are the kind of questions as well that we would pose to the judicial system in taking account your sentence, what measures are put in place for that person that's broken there, that's part of a family, for healing process. And then we'll take a few more from the floor. If you sorry, hand sanitizer. Yeah, if the people, sorry, with the questions can just keep your hands slightly raised so that we can recognize who you are, and then we're gonna, otherwise we're gonna continue. Okay, and then we'll cut the questions. Yeah. Okay.
Your question doesn't really raise issues around the role of the judiciary, but it touches on the whole chain of the criminal justice system. And I think it's important to acknowledge that when a victim makes a very, very difficult choice of seeking justice, they seek vindication.
Yeah.
Right? And therein lies their healing, to the point that the criminal justice system has a role to play in that process. So, and unfortunately, you know, as a system, we are not as integrated as ideally we should be to offer vindication to that victim. So, I mean, we've heard about how victims are victimized right from when they report, you know, and throughout the system. And I think, you know, that needs to be addressed. Yes. It needs to be addressed because we lie at the final stages of the process as the judiciary. And if a victim seeking justice is victimized when they go to the police officer, when they go for a forensic medical examination, when they interact with a social worker, by the time we get involved at the trial sentencing stage, you know, there's very little we can do actually to offer that victim vindication. So it's very important that the system functions in a more integrated manner. I spoke a lot about how we come in terms of understanding the context of the victim, you know, and adopting a victim-centered approach, because yes, the victim has been violated, and the focus in the trial is the criminal, the accused person who's in the dock. But we're not there because the criminal has to be punished. They're there because the criminal violated a victim. And that victim needs to be at the center of that process. You know, the prosecutor has a very important role to play, who's a representative of the state in ensuring that successful prosecution occurs, and he or she interacts directly with the victim throughout the process. So it's very important that prosecutors are responsive as well. It's very important that we understand the context so that in judicial decision making, we are able to take the context into account to effectively deliver justice. I spoke about where you come in. So do come in, support the victims, testify as experts, you know, seek appointment as an amicus curiae, so that to the extent that the court is limited in its understanding of the issues before it, to bring that input in.
Thank you so much, Judge. Okay. So we have a few more questions. Who was first?
The lady in front of you here at the table.
Okay, can the lady with the hat ask the question? Then we'll have the lady over there, and then we'll have the gentleman with the
and then the lady in the front.
and then we'll have the lady in front. So we're going like that. Okay? Lady? Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Henry literally echoed most of my question. But in addition to vindication, what protective measures can a victim get Because the procedures that I've been through is you go to the police station, the police send you to court, and you go to the social worker statement, they give you paperwork, your case is either annulled or accepted, in my case it was annulled. And then thereafter, how are you protected from the victim being free and open in the streets and not knowing what could potentially happen to you, how much information they know about you? How can we be protected? Is there a clause, is there an act, is there law, protection order? What measures do we take? Thank you.
Judge, can we have some more over here? Starting to be read. This is a judge session for you.
There is provision for victim protection throughout the process, and I mean, it's quite shameful for me to sit here because I'm mindful of how victims are failed in the system. For example, if I sit on the bench adjudicating a bail appeal, okay, I wouldn't hear the bail application, in the court where I sit, but I get to deal with the bail appeal if it's been refused in the magistrate's court and the accused appeals to the high court. And if I happen to grant it, it's important what conditions are imposed to protect the victim. So, for example, a prevalent condition would be that the accused person should not be in contact with the victim, right? The investigating officer has a role to ensure that you actually report that this person is not out on bail. Because I shudder to think what would happen if a victim meets, a victim thinks an accused person is arrested, lo and behold, she meets him on the street. There's provision for victim protection in the event that you are victimized or your life is in danger. But unfortunately, the way the system works, you almost have to be violated first for those mechanisms to be put in place. So, yeah, these are hard questions. But there is provision. And unfortunately, the system fails victims more than it protects those victims. In the sentencing stage, I spoke about the victim impact statements where how the crime has affected not only the victim, but significant others should be taken into account in the sentencing process. Beyond the court process, when an incarcerated prisoner is considered for parole, there's provision even at that level for the victim and the family to be consulted to determine the extent to which there's been retribution, when considering a person for parole. So to answer your question, lots of provision for victim protection. The system has to be victim oriented, but unfortunately, it doesn't always work out like that.
Speaking as a citizen and also a taxpayer of this country, it's important to remind stakeholders who are present here that the Intergovernmental Corporations Act is there in existence, and to be honest, there's no intergovernmental corporation. For example, I interacted personally with the Minister of Social Development in the April period, in context, explaining what we are doing, the outreach work, very interested. She prayed that
Thank you very much, Tara. Next. Okay.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
This question is directed to Judge Mudiba. People are laughing because I wonder if it's fair to ask my wife a question in a platform like this. So, listening to what you said, Judge, it seems as if unless you are an activist judge, the risk of following the law blindly is high. Now, how do you obviate that by ensuring that the judiciary is sensitized to the dynamics of social problems? Because I understand your invitation to the organizations to participate. But as we know, the judiciary seems to be elitist and very difficult to approach. What is it that the judiciary is doing to sensitize the judges about the challenges that society is faced with? Especially that the judiciary is diverse, is composed of different judges from different walks of life who might not all be sensitive to the issues that an ordinary person is faced with on a daily basis.
Every successful woman, there's a very supportive man. Yeah. We do have an organization called the South African Judicial Education Institute. It is housed in the Office of the Chief Justice, and it's our training institute. So the fact that we are appointed as judges doesn't mean that we think we have all the knowledge. We have ongoing judicial training programs organized and facilitated by that institution. From time to time, depending on the topic that's lined up, there is, we do get subject matter experts who are not part of the judiciary to come and assist us. So I think from a training perspective, that's really where you come in. So hopefully you will avail yourselves when we ask you to come and broaden our perspective on the issues discussed here. Okay.
Hello everyone. Firstly, I would like to just say thank you as a proud South African for everyone who is here, for all the professionals that are sitting here that have developed, that have delivered all the education for me. You know, we push so many things under the carpet and we say, let's not open our eyes to that. But thank you so much. I'm schooled, I'm humbled, and as corporate, as someone who's representing our corporate today, I think we still have a long way to go. And like Hillary said, we need to just stop focusing on the profit and really start going down under and looking at who is pushing that profit. Because at the end of the day, we have broken people pushing the profit. So we're rich, but we're broken. Anyway, my question is, somebody touched on when the victims are actually taken out of their country. I'm very interested in understanding how is that handled, because I think there's somebody who mentioned that they are then looked as people who went to that country and
can a victim be a victim on the sexual and the all bad things, but also do they then become a victim on being a legal person who's in that country? Thank you.
In terms of the TIPS legislation, once a person is identified as a victim for trafficking, they enjoy a measure of immunity from prosecution. So such a person can only be prosecuted once the National Prosecution Authority has issued a certificate that they may be prosecuted. And I can imagine circumstances under which such a certificate could be issued, where a person is trafficked but they end up perpetrating offenses. For example, they end up working with PIPs to bring others into the ring. But generally, victims of human trafficking enjoy immunity from prosecution. Now, persons who are brought, and in the case I spoke about of women who were trafficked from Thailand, were clearly inappropriately handled by the SAPS officials who were raiding that particular hotel. They actually went there having been informed on a suspicion that a broker is run from that hotel. So they should have been alert to an array of issues that could have confronted them. And they found these women. These women couldn't prove that they are legal in the country because the police had taken their passports. And how do they respond to that? They take them to the letter. That's scaling of the way. That's scaling of the way. The appropriate response is what Ken said earlier in terms of just removing a victim from their environment, taking them to a place of safety. It's very important to give them a cooling off, because they suffer from what is called a Stockholm syndrome, where they bond with their captor, because they are vulnerable in the country, they rely on their captor for subsistence, they have no means of traveling back home. They could have been persecuted at home, that's why they ended up in the situation that they are. So right there you see the importance of just having the discernment to properly diagnose the context of a particular victim. And your police really have their work cut out for them, because they are often at the cold front. They are at the scene of arrest, at the scene where the test is happening, and they need to be able to properly diagnose the context of the victim so that they respond appropriately.
Thank you, Judge.
I think just to add on, when the victim is illegal in the country, it does not necessarily mean that we have to look, how can someone think that illegal in the country. A person can be illegal in the country for various reasons. It is for us to determine and to do a risk assessment on the victim. That's obligatory. Law enforcement must determine whether that person can be either reintegrated or repatriated on a very safe level before that is done. And as I indicated, there is mechanisms within the Act that indicates that the Department of Home Affairs is obligated to provide temporary passports or a visa, or to look at and to see whether or not we are able to keep that person in our country. Right? So we have to look at also the human rights of people before we can tell them you are going to go back to your place of origin.
Thank you so much, Colonel. Thank you. So have we got another false social engagement?
I'm going to find you.
Once the law enforcement has done the assessment and the victim is placed with us in terms of the shelters, we then undertake the process where the head of the department will issue a letter of recognition for that victim, for why the prosecution will then do their part and the victim is still with us. Then that letter of recognition gets to be waived if the victim decides to then leave
Before I get to you, we just want to answer the question with youth and the issues they have in terms of social challenges that they have. Matthew Mensah, would you like to answer that?
Sorry, that's Cheryl.
Sound.
Okay, you can take this one.
Yeah, it's working now.
Okay, before I do that, I just want to quickly, this is the comment. I want to say thank you to Accenture for it's one of our partners today, but also it's one of those corporates that are actually doing things on ground. One of the campaigns we're doing is food relief for youth in a lot of underprivileged areas where they are the ones actually supplying the food. And this is unbranded gift bags with food for quite some time for a lot of families. So I just want to say thank you once again. Because you guys are really doing it on ground and you're doing it without too much fanfare or anything like that, just getting the work done. And this is a nationwide campaign, so I just want to say thank you again. Regarding youth, I work with a lot of young kids, especially young girls, and as Pearl from Social Development was saying before, like we have a moral decline, and at the same time we have a social media uprising, and those two put together is really like what's a massive problem. I see like a lot of young kids striving to look at role models that they think are role models, which are people that's driving them towards complete decay. The values that those people are expressing on social media is really not what they should be looking at. And this is one of the big challenges, like especially when you're working with young kids. A lot of them that have access due to social media, to Instagram, Facebook, etc. And they get like a lot of bad information through them. And this is one of those things that, for us, that we're trying to ensure that parents also looking after not only what, as Sept was saying before, what your child is coming home with of gifts, but also what they have access to on social media before it's too late. You'll see as well now in a lot of these different clubs, etc. There's a lot of young girls who don't even attend to their schools anymore because they think that the money is at those different social places, and they can go out and make X amount of money. They don't even understand the risk that's behind it. And unfortunately as well, due to COVID, a lot of people are even much harder financial circumstances, and they are just even more at risk, especially with some of these sugar daddies, etc. And I think those are the things that's really become a massive problem, which I would like for us to even put more focus on, because a lot of girls don't even know how they're being trafficked on a daily basis. Even for you to sit in Joburg and invite some girl from Durban to come to Joburg for a weekend, that's also sexual trafficking. You know? And a lot of times you'll find girls that they'll end up at some club, they'll go through all kind of wild things, and then they'll be asking if they can invite some of their friends as well, just because they've seen someone on social media, etc. You know? It's really like a massive problem. And I think one of the problems is as well that a lot of parents doesn't even understand social media to start with. They don't understand like the dangers that's out there. So for me, this is one of the things that I really would like us to be able to, as you were saying before, regarding having more role models, that was ambassadors, safety ambassadors, to drive some more stronger campaigns, because we also live in a world where a lot of times we're using different celebrities for campaigns where they're not even connected to it, they don't even understand it, and just take some face because they are get a little bit of famous, but they're not able to drive out the real message. So if you can do some more drive on safety, then I think we'll be able to help a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Matthew. We're going to allow for, I think, Captain John over there, and but
Soulmate.
Pindile.
Love of my life.
Yes, over there. And then we've got one question coming over online from, is it Carla, I think? And then we'll, because we need to, otherwise we're going to carry on forever. All right. So,
okay, thank
and
you.
over to John.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hilary and your team, thank you very much for organizing this wonderful event.
You're welcome.
I'm standing here to just contribute partly about my experiences. It's just I don't know which cap am I wearing today. People kept on calling me captain. I'm no longer in the police service. I resigned 6 years back. I have attended a lot of conferences, both as a participant and as a speaker. In most of those conferences, we come up with recommendations, reports. As we speak, they are getting dust. No implementation, not at all. We said, as a non-profit organization, the civil society organization, let's stop this blaming game of pointing a finger at each other. You are not doing this. You are not doing this. Let's come together. Let's stop operating in silos. So we have taken that bold move as my organization called the Inner City Ambassadors in partnership with the House Group, whereby we are going to organize a seminar that is aimed at engaging the law enforcement agencies, social civil organizations, community leaders, so that we can sit around the table, identify, share our ideas, share our best practices, identify gaps where we lack, and how we can strengthen each other. Going back to the basics, rather than just keep on blaming each other. You are not doing this, we are doing that. So what I'm trying to say is that if we are going to keep having conferences, at the end of the day, we are not going to be implementing the recommendation. Come December, 16 days of extremism is another campaign. Right reports, we share them. We are just going to keep on repeating ourselves every year. Rather, let's come up with something that is going to be tangible, a program of action that is going to be a multidisciplinary approach that is going to help us. So in closing state, we are going to say to the police, we want to walk side by side with you. We want to know when you arrest a perpetrator of crime, what happened. We want to see with our own eyes. Not you telling us we have victim-friendly support facilities at all the police stations on paper, but practically we don't see that. We want to know if the case is reported, what happened. If John, as a captain, beat up his wife, what do you do? If there are disciplinary action taken against John, we want to know if John is going to be suspended, if John is going to be convicted. That's all what you know, transparent. If we start doing things like that, definitely sure we will find each other, and definitely sure we will be able to win. Not only against crime, against gender-based violence, but crime in general. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Captain John.
Good afternoon to you all. I would also like to say thank you for this beautiful initiative. Mr. Mohammed, you might not know me, but we've worked together in different campaigns where it's community outreach programs. I'm also from the law enforcement background, which is from JMPD. I later have a question for the judge. Okay, what I would like to say is, I know some of the people have mentioned or have raised a point to say, it's enough, what are we doing? Mr. Mohammed will concur with me to say, we have been, or we are still reaching out to the community. But unfortunately, maybe it's something that we have to take back, Mr. Mohammed, to say, we might be reaching out to the more mature community. And what about the youth? Because they have it has been mentioned to say, the youth which is the mostly affected target, maybe the message is not reaching them. Maybe the message is not coming to them as strong as it should be. So this initiative is very beautiful, but I really would have loved for the youth to be there more than the more matured adults as they are. What I can further say is more community outreach programs should be done, Mr. Mohammed. That's where we play this part together with social development. Okay, the question for Judge Modiba. I had a protection order against my ex-husband for domestic violence. I had the protection order from April. On Tuesday, I went to court. The magistrate said, listened to both stories, and he said, there's no threat, so the case will be thrown out. So my question is, with your background, what grants me permission to be protected? Do you know if I was somebody who was embracing the bad wolf, with my background, I would have thrown the firearm and done anything to my ex-husband. But because I said, no, I don't want to do that. Let me follow the law. I followed the law. I don't want to say the law has failed me, no. But I would like to know what grants me permission to be protected. Yes, I understand it's a piece of paper, which if I get that permission and which they grant me that permission to be protected, anything can happen with that piece of paper at hand. But the question still is, what grants me permission to be protected? Thank you.
Can we get some? Okay, maybe before we get, yeah, Judge, can you answer? I see you've got the mic.
Okay. Please help me understand your question. Are you aggrieved by the decision of the magistrate?
To tell you the truth, I'm not sure whether I'm aggrieved. Because when I left the court, I said to myself, maybe Vele there's no threat because this matter has been going on from last year. So maybe Vele there isn't any threat. But am I right to say there isn't any threat? Me knowing him better than the judge, because I know his capabilities. Obviously he will not be judged on his capabilities, but hence I'm saying I'm not sure whether I am aggrieved or I want to say it's okay, it's fine, maybe there isn't threat. I am really not sure.
Okay, remember what I said when I spoke, that we get it wrong more often than not. You know, because when a presiding officer is adjudicating a matter, it's less important what they think. What is more important is the victim's experience and why they came to court for protection. Right? So, I mean, my advice to you is that if you believe that the magistrate got it wrong, you've got the right to appeal that decision to a higher court. Unfortunately, you remain vulnerable in the process because you still don't have a protection. But if there's a new threat, then that's a basis to make an application to apply for a fresh protection order, despite their activities.
And so my take is also the fact that if the perpetrator who has been threatening her, she feels great today to say, wow, I've won. I've won. In the highest of the judicial says, there's no case, it's over.
Okay, can we allow the last question, which would be?
Thanks.
There was an online person. Is she online still? Is she offline? Okay.
Okay, good afternoon, and thanks, Hilary. I'll just go straight to the point. I'm speaking as a citizen and a aggrieved social activist. Someone earlier on alluded to the fact that we're having the best policy, the best constitution in the country. Yes, that is. indeed true. From there we have law enforcement agencies, we have a judiciary in place, but I'm very much disappointed about the gaps that exist. And I will just make one example. I have a case, I happen to be a social worker. I have a case, I have a client, someone, and this is after the president has made a decree. We're getting on to lockdown. It is very crystal clear that if you cannot evict anyone, and issues of gender-based violence, which were spiraling, that people will be arrested. And you have someone, he evicts a tenant for not paying rental for that. In fact, that particular individual, when I met her, she could only pay half of the money. The landlord is actually evicting her, literally takes the keys and everything for her to actually leave the place. And I intervene, I call the station commander, who deploys police. They go and then to actually intervene. But what happened when they got there, they couldn't arrest the perpetrator. We went to the police station, I insisted, I went there myself. They could not, they said they are not able to open a case because they are still waiting for the directives that will be coming from the minister. They're still waiting so that they do not have a case, something that they would use to open a case. And perhaps Judge Mudiba would be able to comment in that regard. Thank you.
Why judges shy away from the So the minute a judge is given a mic, then a lot of legal advisors they listen to it.
I made the mistake, Judge, for opening that gap. Apologies.
I'm going to ask Mr. Mudiba to answer this question. Mr. Mudiba is because, you know, as members of the judiciary, we actually don't give legal advice. Because I don't want to be prompted. You know, I don't want this matter to become litigious. And in your papers, you say, then you quote me and say, Judge Mudiba said. So I can't predetermine that matter. So, because that's clearly a request for legal advice, I'll pass it on to Judge. Thank you, Mr.
I'm wondering if they won't say Jack Mudiba's husband said. If that won't be the issue. Yeah. There are two legs to it. Obviously, one that we're looking at is the unlawfulness of it in terms of the landlord having contravened the law, right? So, as far as the law was at that time, although the president has announced, unless it is in writing, is not what the police can act on at a particular point. That's the criminal side of it. What also is happening there is that there is a civil side of the case, right? And as far as the civil matter is concerned, in fact, no landlord is allowed to evict a tenant without a due process, without following court process. There must be an order of eviction for the eviction to happen. So at that point, the issue would have been followed through a civil intervention, which your client should have followed. And I think if you want more advice beyond that, I'm a practicing attorney.
Thank you so much. I think we've come to the end of our questions, right? So we have picked up a few solutions. If you just want to repeat that, the ground forming the Cheryl, and what we said, what was one of the solutions we picked up on? Safety ambassadors. Pardon? Through the, well, I mean across this, that's the one is the Eldorado Park program, but that can be filtered across the board. In fact, internationally, Marcel, all the people online, if you're listening to that. So that is something that can be done globally, actually, in the different. So there's one. Then we've had the any other solutions that have arisen from here that I might have missed on?
So we need to get rid of the cops or the police who are bad wolves. That's why we have that problem.
100%.
We need to get rid of the police who are bad wolves, who must not be shy to say it.
So that's accountability again, and of course your procedures that are within the Seps that needs to be enforced and needs to be adhered to. So those are your policies and procedures like you would in any other company. Same difference, same thing. You either stay within and you don't break those rules, and anyone breaking the rules needs to, those consequences are what they will then bear. Quite correctly so. So we are believing in being tangible. We have to walk away here from a solution that organizations can walk away with. One is what we've just already presented. Lady over there. Strength, prevention, outreach programs. You mentioned something earlier. Same thing, yeah. Strength, prevention, outreach programs. One more? Family strengthening. Heather? Thank you. That's my sister, everybody. I have to tell you that. And part of the assisting the Eldorado Park first responders, that would be a perfect place to slot into, because you need the support and the backing as well. So Cheryl, you can engage with Heather there. Then, as Act Africa, we have come up with some solutions, because we believe in being tangible and in being preventative. So we've come up with two. But before I do that, Marcel, do you want to add anything? Am I catching you off guard?
I'm sorry, it's just my unmute. So I'm good. It was great suggestions, and I think the panel and the contributions from the floor was just incredible. I've just got two suggestions. When we speak about trafficking, there's one part of the definition that we need to unpack more. And that's the definition of abuse of a position of vulnerability. It's in the Prevention of Trafficking in Persons Act. And what it basically says is any person who submits to any form of abuse because he or she reasonably believes that they have no reasonable alternative to submit because of social circumstance, economic circumstance, etc. We're going to go into the definition. But once you fully grasp that definition, Hillary and audience, then you realize how widespread trafficking really is in South Africa, right? So I think abuse of vulnerability, a position of vulnerability, we need to inculcate that strongly into our training. And then the last comment is, in 2004, the national government started the Moral Regeneration Program. Now, I don't know how many of you can remember that, but it died a slow death somewhere over the last 10 years. But maybe we should revisit what the thinking behind the Moral Regeneration Program was. I mean, previous President Jacob Zuma started this in 2004, right? going to go into the politics around the person. But why did they think, and from where was that idea birthed? And should we be breathing new life into that way of thinking? Because it doesn't matter how we try and argue this thing. What came out very clearly this afternoon was that a lot of this starts systemically in the house. If the child, the boy child, doesn't have a father in the home, he's going to be looking for a father on the streets. But broader than that, the issue of morality doesn't have to be church bashing and Bible bashing. That's not what it's about. Even ethics is birthed out of morality. You can't distinguish the two. So I think we may need to call upon the government and ask, but shouldn't we oxygenate this idea again and see whether we might have lost the previous opportunity in running the full course of the moral regeneration project, breathe life into it again, and see what happens. I think there's a lot of potential there, Hilary and audience. My humble 2 pennies. Thank you.
Okay. Next one from there before I end off. Who would like to take responsibility for that? So that we can have accountability. I'll get back to you, Carla, now. But before we do, the regeneration program, I'm looking, guys, law, judicial, social development. Paul, can we count on you? Can we put Pearl Social Development's name next to that item? Yeah, we will then have the accountability to follow up with Pearl to make sure. And then Marcel, along with us, my partner in crime there, we will liaise, all right? And then quickly, Carla, if you want to quickly, where are you?
Hello. So yes, us here are for ACT USA. This is also one of my partners and affiliates. She is also an activist and advocate who's been listening in all morning on the conference. I'm going to let her greet you guys and tell you a little bit about what she does, because here on the ground in the USA, we have the same issues. I was just thrown aback that everything that we were talking about today mirrored an exact conversation that we just conferenced on yesterday, myself and my partners, right here in our backyards in the USA. We're dealing with the same exact issues. So this is larger than just South Africa. This is a platform for us to be able to create a sustainable model that can be replicated in communities around the world. And I think it's all about creating a form of wraparound services, like a wraparound service network of providers that understand the issue and can provide the service in a network form that we can cohesively use and replicate in other countries, cities, communities. I want to pass it over and introduce real quickly my partner. She too is an activist, a human rights activist, and also works specifically on albinism. And as we talk about gender-based violence, this is a minority group, a minute group of people in every community that have the same issues with gender-based violence, sex trafficking, and so many other issues. She's been addressing it on the ground here in Atlanta, Georgia. So we've been working from Florida, Miami, Florida, and Atlanta, Georgia on ACT as well, working to pull all these things together for child trafficking as well as sex trafficking and gender-based violence. So I want to pass it over to her to give her opportunity to introduce herself to our South African family.
Hi, how you guys doing? Thank you for being here. My name is Natasha Brown, and I'm glad to be here representing with ACT USA and the University. And I'm from Miami, Florida. I'm 29 years old. I grew up where, with me having albinism, I was the only one with albinism. And I was the only one, I've never seen anyone look like me. And I also experienced, the trafficking of domestic violence within the home, school, peers. And it's been really great to hear the confirmation of how trafficking stems from a large group, because as I grew up and I found other, people with albinism who also shared in the same exact story, to where you know, it's like you're the bottom of the barrel and the scavengers are just able to take advantage. And that goes definitely within homes. You know, we have been working and advocate with awareness to be aware of albinism, because we believe if we can get it, you know, get it around to people understanding that albinism is really dangerous, having the myths around it about, you know, actual sex enslaving, you know, stealing and selling albino human parts. This is going on all around the country, even to where we in Miami, Florida, and Georgia have experienced physical violence from people you know, people you don't know, just because of literally, you know, the skin color. We've been working with having a solution for self-defense, so we work with women and the youth to, you know, equip ourselves for those gaps in which you're vulnerable after you have, you know, spoke with authorities or tried to get something done. We also work with women to bridge the gap between the young and the old, because that's the importance of, like, it's all been said around, and there's really confirmation to build forward and bridging that gap so that the youth can help the old, you know, the older, and the older can provide the knowledge to the young to move forward and heal. So it's very much a family group, and we want to restore the family in our culture and our communities.
Thank you very, very much. All right. So those are our solutions. And then last two, as ACT Africa, our tangible solutions, we have to end it now. We've really run over time. We've created two programs which have been trademarked. One is called No to Violence, and the other one is called Stop the Traffic. These are your tangible solutions to break the silence. Not the silence. Break the silence, quite correctly so, but break the evils of human trafficking and gender-based violence, or assisting, I should put that, from grassroots level, which is your children, starting with children from the ages about 10, 11, up to the ages of 18. It encompasses everything, including the fact that it assists with a whole mindset change, encouraging that from all the negative patterns, negative growing up in broken homes. So that is where we're coming, because sometimes in the school system, and that's where we want to filter it out throughout South Africa, into Africa, and globally. So, pardon? I'm going to, yeah. There are board games. Matthew, myself, and a wonderful lady called Teresa, she's not here today, and she should have been here, sat for, I won't tell you how long, creating these concepts, these games. We've put everything together. So we're in developmental stage, we're in its final stage. We've been working on it constantly for a long time. So these are very important games. We thank you to Spoor and Fisher for jumping on board when they saw these games, and they got involved in trademarking it immediately. But we do invite anybody, especially myself, social development, to contact us, would like to partner with us, because we've got a lot to go. We've got to take this through to all the school children throughout South Africa to ensure that they do get access to these games. It's not just a game, it is educational, it is fun. It will assist with breaking cycles, it will assist with a mindset change, it will assist with definitely turning the dysfunction into functional adults who are positive, contributing adults to society, which in turn will have a positive ripple effect on our economies, which affects everybody's back pockets. And we want positive adults, we want positive youth. As it is at the moment, if nothing urgent is implemented, we sit with dysfunction continuing. So we have to be tangible. So that is our tangible aspect. So that is the ACT Africa solution that we have come up, and we've done lots of research. We've ongoing with all of this to get to this point. With that being said, those are the other two solutions that ACT Africa has worked on. Thank you very much, and we're going to move on to the next part of the program, and I thank you all the panelists. You may go to your seats for participating in this. We will engage with you to ask who will be responsible for whatever. Yeah. As a closing message, I just want to say to everyone, again, I come back down to choices and responsibility and accountability. We need to, again, like I said, the theory has happened. We all know the theory. We need to put it into action. We need to be tangible. We need to get to grassroots and make that difference. Theory in here, it's out there. All good and well. We all know it. We need to put it into action. So that we've established. Our closing message is, please, we are all responsible. Let's be accountable for ourselves and take that accountability. I'm not accountable for the next person, but I am my brother's keeper. That's the difference. So we need to really reach out and make that difference and those with those choices. Then when it comes to our sponsors, I just want to say thank you to Sun International, especially AHF. Whew. The meetings we have monthly on GBV, guys, I can just bow. As a lady, I'm bowing. Thank you for supporting ACT Africa. Always. I know we have our differences. Tony knows I'm a hardhead. I give him hell. But he knows we come together at some point. We always get to a point. But it's all with a good cause. We've got the Maslow, we've got Accenture, we've got so many involved here that have house group that have been with us in this as well. We've got Bikoko that have, which again Tony and Pastor Calvin is involved with, have sat behind us and again very involved in the whole fight against and very involved and has been part a major role in having this conference happening. Thank you very much. AHF, Bikoko, Sun International, the house group over here, Simpiwe represents the house group, Accenture, Siabello, thank you very much. It took a lot. Without you, we could not have gone this far. So thank you for coming on board. And again, to my team of ACT Africa, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Matthew, you made me cry today when you said such, you expressed yourself. And I too learn from you every day. He's a magnanimous man. He's a guy with a big heart. We fight a lot. But yes, we fight not with a bad fight. Agree on issues that we may disagree on. But I thank him. He's a man that I have across the world made a difference in the lives of so many children worldwide, not just only in Africa. And I see the difference he's made in our lives as ACT Africa, and we learn as well a lot from him and his experience in the capacity as ambassador and in his dealings across the continent. So thank you very much, Matthew, for your lead as well in ACT Africa. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Spark. Thank you, Tamiko. Thank you, Mary Ann. Thank you to the rest of ACT Africa who weren't able to make it, but I thank the team as well. And then I have the rest of our people who participated in today's conference. As you can see, this banner is full. And all the speakers, please, if you can just quickly come up. We'd like to take a picture of you as soon as we've said the prayer and the message from Thanks from Tony over there and Pastor Calvin. So thank you to Fan, thank you to Marda, Comeback Mission, sorry, I have to look because I can't remember all the names, SAPS, the Hawks, Modern Community Foundation, National Freedom Network, National Center on Sexual Exploitation in USA. Thank you to them. Thank you to Sanka, SADC, I can't even think of who else, to the Hawks, everybody that was involved. Department of Social Development, thank you very much for coming on board. It is much appreciated. Thank you to MEC for coming as well. It is much. If I missed out anybody, please forgive me. It is late in the afternoon. So, humbly, I say thank you very much, and may God bless you all. And may we remain accountable, be responsible, and make the right choices. Tony, my brother, over to you.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but if I look at a program, thank you, Hillary, for doing my job. Also, thank you to Hillary for voluntarily admitting that she chooses to fight the good fight with men with good heart. Matthew, I'm sure he agrees with me. So thank you for confirming that. you love to deliberately fight or choose to fight with men with big hearts, Matthew. Okay. Without further ado, I'm here representing and attending this prestigious global event on behalf of my organization called Beloved Community Coalition. We are proud to be a partner. And some of the questions and concerns that came up, I'm also on my WhatsApp looking at some other attendees, the comments they made, recommendations they made. I'd like to thank them also for their participation. And also what came out of this, listening to everybody's experience, recommendations, questions, answers. One of the key things that came up, what is practical about this? What is the mission and the plan going forward? Now, Beloved Community Coalition, in our founding vision and values, we believe and practice the African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I take that upon ourselves too as activists against gender-based violence. When I was speaking with conviction to the state organs, I'm also saying this to church organizations, faith-based organizations, and even NGOs and activists like ourselves who fight the good fight against gender-based violence. We live in a world that is in pain, a world that is damaged through all the ills and ilks that are going on around us. However, we always say it is not over until God says it's over. So we as activists commit ourselves to continue to fight the good fight against gender-based violence. Also, as part of Beloved Community or Bikoko's mission statement, we believe and practice to organize and mobilize people power to accelerate the eradication of inequalities and iniquities for fairer, healthier, safer, thriving, more inclusive communities, not only in South Africa, but in Africa and the world over. So, in terms of some of the comments that came out of this prestigious conference, we as Bikoko, or Beloved Community Coalition, in support of X conference and the act that you have taken today and everything that came out of this, we believe that this should be an ongoing mission, not only
theoretically, but practically so. So what is next? And the answer to that is, through this partnership as a coalition, the next event will take place in November, entitled hashtag Rikaufela against gender-based violence. December the 2nd, okay, thank you for the correction, Simpiwe. So on the 2nd of December, we will continue this in a practical way by hosting a next event that will be more participative, practically so, and also taking and given the outcomes of this conference. Again, it is hashtag Rikaufela against gender-based violence, which is organized by two of our coalition organizations, Inner City Ambassadors, which is headed by our brother there, Captain John Maluleke, and Mr. Mbule, and his team. Thank you for your presence. And then also house groups in PWS organization. So they next, and then what do we do in between? What do we do? Another question that came up in terms of where the seed was planted. How do we look at our youth homes in the future? And between October and December 2021, we're also planning to have sports against GBV soccer tournaments. There will be 5 of them taking place as a pilot for this year, where we encourage and attract the youth, which will be spearheaded by the Mark Fish Foundation, which is one of our coalition organizations, where we'll have both male and female youth participating in soccer tournaments. Out of that, there will be educational programs and training in terms of self-defense. They will be playing soccer and compete in a positive way against each other, and also teaching them how to respect one another, both male and female. Because it's important that we invest in our future in this country. It's no use we only deal with the immediate problem. We also have to deal with the extended problem. And therefore, as beloved community coalition, BICOCO, we have decided to be practical in our approach, and therefore we have planned these events that are coming up. Without further ado, I have a surprise for you. I was asked to announce a surprise here today before everyone goes, and that is actually before we'll have the closing prayer and closing remarks that will come up next. The definition of a disciple. What is a disciple? And I hope the surprise can answer that question, but to me, and the definition of a disciple is a disciplined follower of righteousness. And that's my definition of that. Therefore also, the fight against gender-based violence in a practical way, lest we forget that an injury to one is an injury to all. Lest we forget, unless we work together in this, in a coordinated fashion, in a practical way, it will remain a shitstorm. Therefore, intercooperation with one another, state organs, religious and faith organizations, NGOs, and community should become part of the solution. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce and call up the surprise, an entertainment group called The Disciples. Thank you.
But can I just say something quickly before we do? 23rd of October, along with Flatline Radio and Act Africa, we've got a show. We've started in December. One was Act Out, covering human trafficking. It's fun, it's music, it's poetry, it's you name it. It's really good. Youth will enjoy. Tickets, Joburg Theatre. It will be in the course of this week. You will be able to log on at Joburg. It will be on the main stage. Please, guys, purchase tickets. 100 Rand a ticket.
Yeah, man.
Go for it.
So guys, thank you for me. I'm so honored to be here. Thank you. You guys are doing amazing
work. It's a 30 minutes place to last home, and we're going to pump some energy to you with the last bit of performance. Like Henry said, the 23rd of October, we're going to be at Nelson Mandela Theatre in Bromfontein doing Act 2.0. Our first one was last year to a great reception, and I just love what Hillary and Matthew's enthusiasm is, even for entertainment business like ours. They take them seriously and take the message seriously. So this song is called Superwoman. We're the disciples. If you feel like getting out your seat, please just have a jam with us, and we really hope you enjoy the music. Let's go.
I need the sound, guys.
Take me higher, take me higher. Now it's good, I'm staying there. All my brothers with me. Thank you very much. That's good. We can decide what act out. We can thank you very much for having us, guys. It's been a beautiful day.
Ow. How do we close without a closing prayer? We can't reconnect him. Oh my gosh, you can't.
No, I'm here. I'm here. If you can hear me, I'm here.
Oh, yeah. Can we all close our eyes so that we can close this conference in prayer? You may go ahead, Pastor.
Good morning, everyone from Los Angeles. I'm going to ask you not to close your eyes because we've had our eyes closed on the issue of gender-based violence for too long. I'm going to ask you not to bow your heads because we have bowed our heads on the moral crisis called gender-based violence for too long. And so raise up your heads because the Bible teaches us, lift up your heads for your liberation is near. We will keep our eyes open because as the one of the freedom songs from the United States puts it, we must keep our eyes on the prize. And our eyes on the prize, of course, is to see how we can reignite the embers of Ubuntu as we face this moral challenge called gender-based violence. So with open eyes, as we look at one another and affirm one another's humanity, it is a joy for me to share with you our closing prayer, and I have a title for it because I think as we prepare to move forward, this is really not a closing prayer, but it is a call to action. I want to quickly just thank Hillary spearheading this conference as a board member of the AIDS Healthcare Foundation, AHF. It is indeed a joy for us to be a co-sponsor as the co-founder of Beloved Community Coalition. It is a joy for us to be a co-sponsor. And so we're looking forward to everything else that will be coming up for us as we continue to move towards ending the scourge of gender-based violence. So having said that, let me share with you this closing prayer as well as call to action. This closing prayer and call to action is entitled, "The Fierce Urgency of Now, Humans Together Side by Side." Let me repeat that for you, because I want to make sure that you know that I've been up half the evening here from Los Angeles listening and was blessed by what I've heard and very much encouraged. And I especially want to celebrate our Liberian delegation that's there. So you made it in the title for the closing prayer. The fierce urgency of now, humans together, side by side. This prayer, I will start off with the following words that comes to us, from the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He wrote a speech not too long ago, several years ago actually, but it feels as if he wrote it yesterday just for us. So, with heads lifted up, eyes open, receive this closing prayer. Dr. King wrote, "We are now faced with the fact that tomorrow is today. we are confronted with the fierce urgency of now in this unfolding conundrum of life and history. There is such a thing as being too late in history with the right answers. This is no time for apathy or complacency. This is a time for vigorous and positive action. And so as we've gathered here this day, looking at root causes, looking at real and relevant solutions, we give God thanks and praise for the reminder that we are all created equally as human beings. We as South Africans have exported to the world Ubuntu. I am because you are, and because you are, therefore I am. Clearly, we have broken that covenant with one another, especially with our women and our girls. So God, come now and once again reignite within us the embers of Ubuntu and how it is that we can come together, one snowflake connecting with another snowflake, to become an avalanche fighting gender-based violence. One drop connecting with another drop, becoming a waterfall to end gender-based violence. A sectional moral crisis, a multi-sectional moral crisis, a multinational moral crisis, a multi-ethnic moral crisis, a multiracial moral crisis, and a multi-generational moral crisis. Give us the courage, O God, to once again move from seeing our women and our girls, move from seeing them as commodities to seeing them as part of our beloved communities. Come, O God, move us as men from brokenness to wholeness, to boldness, to boldly act now and continue to act, O God, as you reignite the embers of Ubuntu within us. We ask you, O God, that you will come and remind us that this is indeed a fierce urgency of now. And as you taught us through our elder, Bishop Stanley Muhoba, that we can be hope, because hope is like a bird that sings about dawn while it is yet still dark. We are surrounded by darkness. Let us be the birds that sing about dawn in the work that we are doing. The work that we are doing through Comeback Mission in El Dorado Park, the work that we are doing through the Mark Fish Foundation, the work that we are doing through ACT Africa, the work that we are doing through the House Group, the work that we are doing through our co-sponsors here from Sun International to Accenture and to everyone else that has come together. May we sing about dawn in the midst of this dark moral crisis called gender-based violence, and respond to the words from our women. We are the ones that we are waiting for. We can't just wait for government. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. We can't just wait for the faith community. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. We can't just wait for civil society or NGOs. We are the ones. We cannot just wait for the police. We are the ones that we have been waiting for. Thank you for the privilege to come together during this time to know that you did not give us a spirit of fear, but a spirit of power, a spirit of love, and a spirit of self-discipline. Let us now go forth, sisters and brothers. Let us now go forth and be and become that beloved community that will enable us to see how we can walk together work together as human beings, side by side. In the name of the God of many names, in the name of the God with one name, including Jesus Christ. Amen, amen, and amen. Congratulations, and let us go forth.
Amen. Thank you so much, Pastor. That being said, side by side, we're doing this together. And I can officially say that is the closing of the ACT Africa International Men's GBV Conference. Thank you so much. Thank you for allowing me to serve you. Thank you for this wonderful day. Thank you for your time. Cheers.